Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. Today we are going to unbox this ChargePoint Home Flex wall connector. We're going to take it out, we're going to stick it on the wall, we're going to connect it up, we're going to configure it. Then we're going to connect it to the Model 3 and watch it charge. This particular wall connector uses a J1772, very common connector, and we're going to use the adapter and hook it up to the Model 3 and make it charge. So let's get this box opened up and have a look inside. Let's get this ChargePoint Home Flex wall connector out of the box. We'll take it apart, we'll lay it out here and take a look at all the parts and pieces. We'll look at the instructions. We'll put it up on the wall and make this work. So let's get this thing opened up here. Use my razor knife. There's tape up here on the top and in the front. So let's take a look at this. All right. Nice package job. Oh yeah. So this is the wall connector part. This is where the J1772 plugs in when it's not being used. And inside here we can see that this particular wall connector has configured with a 1450 240 volt 50 amp plug. It's 12 inches. The wall connector will be connected here on the rear, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So there's the wall connector. We've got some instructions. We've got our instructions and a little installation manual, which is nice. I have a little something here. It is glued on. It says, I'm ChargePoint Home Flex. Little pamphlet of some kind. Looks like just cardboard. And we're going to pull this out here. We've got a little box of screws and paraphernalia. We'll get into that in a minute. Looks like all we have here. And more boxes. All right. Now we're on the business end. This is the actual connection that goes into the car. This is a J1772. And this will plug into the car. And a Tesla, you're going to need an adapter, which comes with the car. And this end goes up into the wall connector. And that's here now. And anything else? Nope. The box is empty. As you can see, there's nothing else in the box. So we'll set that aside here. So let's take a look at some of the contents. This comes in a nice little envelope. Appears to be the installation guide. It is probably detailed. Oh yeah. We have some warning stickers that need to be placed onto it when we're finished, indicating what type of power requirements are needed. So I'll set that over here. We have the installation guide, which walks us through each step, and we're going to go through that as we move forward here. I'll set that over here. We have installation template. Now, if you've ever installed anything like this, it makes it pretty easy. It actually sets up the center line and the holes. It's hard to see, but there's holes where the actual wall connector is screwed onto the wall. And the dotted lines apparently indicate a stud, which we need to mount it to. So we'll do that. Set that over here. And then we have a guide. It looks like it's in French, maybe, or Spanish. I can't tell. No, it looks pretty French to me. Maybe there's additional languages in here. Not sure. But it gives us an alternative choice for another language manual, same as the English version. And it looks like a Spanish version or French version of our stickers. So we have both. The next goodies here, let's take a look. Comes in a cute little orange packet. And it's in both languages. We've got both, looks like French and English. I'll set one aside since my French really sucks. I'm going to go over here. And what is this? Okay, so what this is how we configure the wall connector to communicate with the Wi-Fi in the building. We're going to need that once we get installed, step by steps on how to make that go. So I think we're good there. And we got this cute little box with a screw on the front. Oh yeah, how cool is this? Let's see if I can get this out of here without making a mess. No, I can't. So in this box is a drill. This is the correct one for mounting the mounting screws. The mounting screws are here. It looks like a common, maybe 7/16 American connection here. And then what's really cool, not only did they give us the drill, but they gave us actually a nut driver that goes onto the drill, and that will drive these guys. So they work together. So that's our hardware kit. We're going to definitely need that to connect the wall connector to the wall. So I'll set that aside. And let's eyeball this a little bit. Now this is the business end of the J1772. This what plugs into the vehicle. And this end, let me get that off. This end is very cool. I'm going to pull this off just because I'm an engineer. And what you can see here is the 3 power connections. Green, of course, is ground, and the red and black are the hot. And then we have communications here in this little Molex connector. And then this whole thing will go up inside of the wall connector itself. So let me put these things back. And the cord actually feels like a pretty good quality rubber cord. You don't find that much anymore. You find a lot of plasticky things. But when the weather gets cold, you really want to have rubber if possible. It really helps. So that is our connection for the car. So now let's pull the plastic off here. This is the wall connector. I'll be careful not to cut the actual body of the wall connector. Just kind of get us a big enough slot here. Let me pull this plastic off. Sorry for the noise. There, we'll get that out of the picture. Now, this is going to come apart, and the reason I stick it together with plastic is that this is the front fascia of the wall connector. That'll go on last. It looks like we have a protective plate here that has locking screws. You stick a coin in each side and lock it in here in the wall connector. And here's a shot of the guts of the wall connector. This, being the charge cord, will go up inside here and latch in. And these connections here will go under these white connectors, and that will allow us electrical connection. So we're good to go. The receptacle for the handle here is where this resides, and that will hang there. And the last thing that I can see here is you need a place to hang your cord, and that's this slot here. So once it attaches to the wall, you loop the cord around here, and you're good to go. The back of the wall connector is looks like they've got some plastic to space it out from the wall. And it's where we make our connections and contact with the stud. So that seems pretty straightforward here with this ChargePoint Home Flex connector. So here before me I've laid out the required tools. Of course you need a level. Anytime you put anything together you need a level. A regular old pencil is great. You can use a pen, but pencils work better. This is the hardware that was included in the ChargePoint wall connector. It includes this driver bit that goes into the drill, 3 screws, and a drill bit to actually make holes into the stud. This is the template, and this is what we're going to use to align the wall connector on the wall to make sure not only it's vertical, but it's properly connected to a stud within the wall. And then of course we have our wall connector, which you saw before. And last but not least, we have our destructions, aka instruction guide. We're going to follow the guide and actually hook this up onto the wall. So let's follow the guide here. I'm going to look at the guide, and I've read it before, so I have a little bit of intuition of what to do. So let's get to hooking this up to the wall. We are ready to put the wall connector on the wall now. There's our 1450. Now, the first procedure according to the manual is you got to make sure that the circuit breaker is turned off here on the 1450. I've done that in the circuit breaker panel, and I verified it with my ohm meter to make sure we're showing no volts. That's important. The next thing is you plug it into the dead wall plug. Okay? Now, once it's plugged into the dead wall plug, fortunate for me, it's hard to see on video, but right here are screws that hold the siding, and I use plywood on the inside of this garage, and I know that the stud is there, so I don't need to locate the stud with the stud finder. So for me, my biggest job is to locate the wall connector, and I know it's in line with this one, and I know it's in line with this top one because I can see it up there. And what I'm going to do is I want the cord here not band tight, not like that. So you want to have a slight bend in it. This is for the case if you do need to unplug it, there's no strain on the plug. And I'm going to temporarily line it up by eye here with these existing screws. Now I'm going to take the pencil, and I think we've got a nice easy bend here now. About right. And what I'm going to do now is mark the bottom hole. Now the template has all 3 holes in it. So let's see if I marked it successfully, and I have. It's here marked on the wall. I'm going to unplug it now. Okay, the next thing is I take the template that provided by ChargePoint, and I'm going to line it up with the bottom hole here. There it is. Now, it's lined up kind of with the top, but I'm going to take my trusty level now, and I'm going to line it up with the side of the paper and make sure that we are level, and we're not. Let me get this over here just a little, and it's looking good. So I put the level on the paper, the bubble is where it's supposed to, and we're lined up with our marked hole. Now I'm going to mark each hole by taking the pencil and lining it in the middle and rotating it. And that puts a dent in my wall. I then will go up here, do the same here, and line it up. Now to verify, I've got a dot on each one of the mounting holes, and they're centered. Okay, on to the next step. The next step is I take this drill, which is a standard electric drill, and I'm going to chuck their drill bit into it. Make sure it's tight. So now that I've chucked the drill into the electric drill, we're going to go ahead and drill all 3 holes now. Now it's important that when you drill, that the drill is straight and perpendicular to the wall surface, so it's not at an angle where you're going to be drilling off. So I'm going to take my time here, and you never be in a hurry about drilling. You guys learned that from my other videos. Okay, so I've drilled the 3 pilot holes with the provided drill bit. So our next step is going to be, I'm going to disconnect the drill. I'm not going to need that anymore. And I'm going to chuck the drill driver in. And what this allows me to do is drive those lag bolts into the wall. Okay? So the procedure is, according to the manual, we take the very first screw, and we're only going to hook it into the top one here. And so we'll do that, and it only needs to go down to about 3 millimeters. because the wall connector just hangs on this particular one. I'm going to change up the drill to more power. Okay, that's about 3 millimeters from the wall. Okay, the next thing is, that's going to hang the weight of the wall connector on this top screw. The next thing, I'll go ahead and plug this in. Remember, this is a dead circuit. We turned it off in the circuit breaker. And I'm going to hang the wall connector where it thinks it wants to be, just like that. So as you can see, it's down. We've got our proper angle here. We're not straining the plug. And now, if I did things right, how about that? I can see the holes through it. So I'm going to take the drill driver and attach it with the other screws. This one here. Now, just to be sure, we're taking the level and making sure. And we're right on line. So we're good to go. Let's go ahead and finish this bottom screw. And I'm going to sock it up. And the key to this is, again, take your time. There's no hurry to drill this in. And when it gets down to the plastic, you just want it snug. You do not want it over tightened. Slow down. Right there. Okay, nice and solid. Now we're going to get the top one in. Or I should say the second one up here. And one of the things they want you to do in the manual is that this one, I'm going to flip the connection up and I'm going to pull this red wire out because I run the chance of damaging it with the drill driver. So I'm going to put this into the hole and we're lined up. Just like that. Okay. I don't think I could pull this off with my tractor. It's on there. Okay, so now I'm going to re-stick this back into the hole where it was. Click it down. Okay, we are now hooked up. So essentially, the ChargePoint Home Flex wall connector is now attached to the wall. And yes, we are plugged in. Circuit breaker's still off, and that's fine. Now we'll go on to the next step here of actually attaching the charging cable, which goes up into here. All right, it is time now to go ahead and install the charge cable itself. It comes with Velcro, and to get it manageable, I'm not going to hold it in the air. I'm going to go ahead and pull the Velcro straps, and I'm going to bang it on the table. And we'll go ahead and unwrap a couple turns here, and I'll set the other part of the cable onto the table to take the weight, and that frees up now the charge cable itself. So it comes with a retainer here, and the retainer holds the plastic in, so I'm not going to remove that here now. I'll set it on the table. Now the key here is, you see this location here. This actually has a small hole located here, which allows me to properly locate this. Now, there's several connections that need to be made. Of course, we have our 240, and it's got a rubber retainer that holds the wires in the proper order that goes up into here. According to the instructions, the ground is here, then it goes red, then it goes black, and then that hooks up into our snap clips. And then last but not least, the control, which communicates with the car, will then be plugged into this white connector. So to get all this up here, we need to kind of squeeze it up through the hole like this. And now the key is, these big fat wires don't move much. So I'm going to line them up here and see if I can get them in the hole, and they need to go all the way in, just like that, until there's no insulation shown, okay? So we can see now that the proper order, the green, the red, and the black are plugged in. Now I'm going to take these snaps, snap them down, and now we're secure. Now I'm going to take the communications, and this goes a certain way. It's got a little retainer here at the top. I rotate it around, so we'll plug this up into here, and it snaps in place. So our cable is now connected. Now we need to take the retainer clip here. It's labeled cable clip, and I'm going to push up on this into the hole, lining up this little thing on the side until we're in there. This is rubber, so it takes a few hands. I'm going to clip this under here like that, and we're installed. It's got retaining, we're hooked up, the unit's on, and we're ready to do our initial test before I put the faceplate on. So we're going to take the cord now and wrap it around the wall connector to get it out of the way, and I'm going to leave the front of this open. After we do some initial tests and everything looks good, I'll go ahead and put the covers on this, but before, I'll be careful not to touch anything inside. So let me unroll this now. The proper procedure on a wire that's rolled up like this is to roll it end over end and until the full length. The reason you want to do stuff like this is it has a normal kink to the wire, and if you don't, the wire will be kinked when you try to roll it back up. So let me see if I can do this properly in frame. And then the wire will lay properly. So I'm going to set this on the desk here, and we're supposed to go clockwise. So I will go over and do the same. Now with any rope, if you're using a boat rope or whatever, you always put a half twist. It takes the kink out of stuff. Try to get this on here properly without any kinks. And there we have it. So I'm going to store this in the storing thing here, like that. And there we go. Everything is out of the way. It's easy to look and see what's going on. And I think we're ready for a smoke test. But before we do that, if I grab the manual, double checking is good. You certainly don't need a fire or explosion. So let's compare the colors. You can't see that necessarily, but the color code goes into the handle: green, red, black, and then this is plugged in properly. So that's confirmed. The power cord was already connected, but if I just want to verify that, I can look over here on this manual and I can see the green is in the center, which it is, and the black and the red. So we're good to go. I think we're ready for a smoke test. So at this point, Greg, if you'd be so kind, go over and flip the breaker for me. I will take my digital, okay, it's on. I will take my digital voltmeter and put it on AC. And I'm going to measure. Yep. I have 254 volts. Okay, so we're good. So go ahead and shut the power off now, if you'd please. Greg's going to the breaker and shutting it off. Okay, so let's verify again. Make sure that we're off, because we certainly don't want a live circuit. Okay, power is off. We are now ready to do the smoke test. Now remember how to plug in a big plug like this. You don't grip around the contacts. If you do, you'll probably die. So you don't want to do that. Very high voltage here. So you always want to use the palm of your hand. You carefully load it in till it's there. Use the back of your hand. Keep your fingers clear. Plug it in. And that's the proper way to install these 1450 plugs. Okay. We verified our color codes to be correct. We've verified power is on and off here. And I think we're ready for a smoke test. Now, the only thing we got to do is check the light. There is a small LED which you can't quite see from there, but I'm going to grab my phone And I'm going to do a picture, and we'll do a little picture in a picture here and see what the lights seem to do. Okay, I am recording. Greg, if you would, hit the breaker.
You're on.
Okay, the fault lights are off. As you see here, we have an orange light. It will flash a couple times according to the manual while it verifies things. So now that we have the wall connector connected and we're flashing here, that indicates that I still need to hook it up onto the Wi-Fi here in the garage. So to do that, I go to my ChargePoint app, which I've previously downloaded onto my phone. Now in this flashing mode, I'm guessing it's beaconing the SSID, and we're going to find out here really quick. I'm going to go to Home Charger, and I'm going to click the Setup button here. Would you like to use Bluetooth? Yes, I would. So we are going to go with the plug version and go to Next. And the breaker, it says read the label, and yes, I'm sure. We're going to set the amperage to 40 amps, and that's where we want to be. It says it's now connecting to the charger using Bluetooth from my phone to the charger. Something's happening. We're seeing a little bit of green going on here. Okay, it's asking what Wi-Fi we want to use. I think we'll use this one here. I'm going to go ahead and put in the secret code. It's not really secret, obviously. And we're going to join this network now. And if we look close here, it's joining the network. That means the app here is talking to this on Bluetooth. It's now joined the Wi-Fi network. It's adding it to the ChargePoint account. Okay, it's still adding it to the account. We'll give it a second. Something's happening. We're now green, and we are ready to go. We've added it to the ChargePoint account, and it's looking pretty good. And here we are. We are now on the ChargePoint map as being installed. And it's visible to me. We can schedule charging and whatever we need. So at this point, I believe we were successful in installing the wall connector. It says it's ready to charge. And I should have a green light. Not sure why it's not green. Schedule is off, remind me to plug in settings, and now we're green. So we are ready to go. So the next step is we're going to power down the circuit breaker, make sure there's no power on it, and I'm going to install the cover plate and the protective waterproof electrical section cover and see how all that works. And then after I do that, we're going to go ahead and hook it up to the car and see how it charges. Good deal. No smoke test. Okay, faithful assistant Greg, if you would, kill the breaker.
Off.
Green light is off, no power, and now I can get close to the electrical contact. So let me get this on. Just take a few minutes. Okay, we have verified that the power is off on this, and now what I'm going to do is take this waterproof case. You need a coin of all things to go ahead and rotate the latch here. So I'll do that now. I'll hook that in. Should take the handle off, but it's really not necessary. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this now and lock the waterproof case in place. Now this completely waterproofs the wall connector, and I'm going to then put the cover plate on. We'll take the charge handle off. The cover plate then goes on, and it snaps in place according to the manual, just like that. Plug this back on, and I think we're ready for power. So, Greg, if you would be so kind and go ahead and flip that breaker. Make sure it's all working still. Okay. Now at this stage, the wall connector was trying to hook to the local Wi-Fi here in the garage. And once it establishes contact, I think we're going to see a green, which also means you're ready to charge. I'm sure the startup procedure just takes a while. It's probably communicating with ChargePoint Central, and voila, we now have a green, we're ready to charge. So the next step is to go ahead and hook a car to it and see if it charges. And then we'll verify the entire installation to be working. So we're going to go ahead and hook it up to the Model 3 here. With every Tesla comes this mobile connector pack. Inside of the mobile connector comes the 32 amp mobile connector, and that's this box. And that's hooked, of course, to a Tesla compatible plug. And on the other side is a bunch of adapters here. And these particular adapters allow you to connect the mobile connector to 120 volts in North America. In Europe, this would be a Shuku plug for 240. And then in the United States, we have a 1450 plug that allows us the 240 volts. But more importantly for our demonstration, we're going to use this adapter here. This comes with the connector pack, and in one side is J1772. This J1772 hooks to the Tesla connector on the other side. So let's go ahead and connect this up. I'll just set this right here. And you can see currently I have a high power wall charger charging the car. To disconnect that, I'm going to go ahead and press the button and hold it. And I don't know if you can see this green flashing light, but here it is. We're now white. We're ready to remove it, since this is locked into the car. So the procedure is, let me set this here. I'm going to take the adapter now, the J1772, connecting it to the Tesla, and we're going to go ahead and install it here. You always install this into the car first, and then I'll take my J1772 and we're going to install it. I have a blue. I heard the click on the charge point, and now I'm charging green. So let's have a look inside of the car to see how much charge current we actually are charging the car with. And look at that. The charge point is actually charging here at the required 40 amps, 242, 243 volts, and it's giving the Model 3 here 35 miles per hour. So I think we've pretty well verified that this charge point is actually hooked up and working properly. And now that it's working here, let's have a look at the app and see what it's reporting now. Here is the ChargePoint app. I've set up charging here, and let's see if I click here. And you can see from the app that it's showing what amount of kilowatts we're putting in. And it looks like we're right about 10.5, 11 kilowatts at 40 amps. We will see this graph grow as time goes along. You indicated right here in the center how much power is going into the car, and an estimated number of miles per hour of charge. And this is available on the ChargePoint app. Today, we've installed this ChargePoint Home Flex wall connector. You saw it from stem to stern. We installed it on the wall, connected it, programmed it, and hooked it to the Model 3. And as we speak, it's currently charging the Model 3. This project is not for the DIYer. If you are not an electrical engineer or an electrician, you need to hire an electrician to make this connection. As easy as it looked, it can kill you if you come across the wrong contacts. So please, hire a qualified electrician to get this installed. But as you saw, the hardest part, of course, will be installing the 1450 plug. The wall connector goes in very easily. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you'd like to subscribe and not miss any of the content going forward, please subscribe And do not forget to hit the bell icon. That will alert you each time a new video is posted. So I asked the question, what would a guy with 6 high-power Tesla wall connectors be installing a J1772 in his garage for? That's kind of interesting. So I asked the question, I want you to think about why I would install a J1772 in a garage full of Teslas and already has a bunch of wall connectors. In my upcoming videos, I'm going to hint to you why I did this. If you would like to buy yourself a Tesla, the referral link shown here at the bottom of the screen will get you 1,000 miles or 1,500 kilometers of free supercharging. Thank you for watching. I'll look for you again, and take care.